You must be Daisy.
No, that's me.
Oh, you were that feisty on the phone. I thought you was a redhead. Hey, I love redheads. And I've got myself a treat today, Anna.
Who might you be?
I am Jim Fizz, Mixologist Extraordinaire.
You're a what?
He mixes cocktails.
He says he's got an Ology.
He's gonna take the cocktail class.
Shake it till you make it. That's my catchphrase.
That's very original, isn't it, Gail?
But it is quite catchy.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
Hello and welcome to episode 210 of the Talk of the Street, an unofficial Coronation Street catch-up podcast that, along with viewers of a certain age, found that they could remember that Anthony, rather than failing everything, passed pottery and sociology. People will always need plates. I'm Gavin.
And I'm Sticky.
It is, I think, 94 degrees outside.
And 106 with the heat index.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I remember being on holiday in one of the Canary Islands. I can't remember which. Sometime in the late 90s then. Sitting by the pool, watching the hotel manager speak to, I guess it was like a salesman or something, but it was a guy and he was in a suit and tie, and he was stepping out of his car and he had his briefcase with him, and they sat at a little poolside table and they had the little conversation, and the guy, I don't know if he made a sailor note, but he got up and he wandered away into his car that had been sitting in the sun for, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. Gets in and just drives away, and I remember thinking, imagine working in heat like this. Because I'd never, if it gets into the 70s in Scotland, it's like your taps off sort of weather, but this is what it's like.
Yeah, and we don't even get the benefit of a sea breeze.
No. Oh, yeah, it's a tough one today.
It is a tough one today.
I thought it was over 90 degrees in this room earlier today, but then I realised it was because my coffee cup was right next to the thermometer, so once I drank that, it cooled down somewhat, but it's still pretty bloody hot.
Yeah. Yeah, I took Stelly to get her braces on this morning, and that takes a good couple of hours to get done.
Eesh.
So I walked across the street to the Big B for a cup of coffee and to get my notes done for List of Lists. And even just walking across the street was unbearable. I was like, oh, man, I should have taken the car to cross the street.
Well, I was on a call this morning, some meeting or other, and then I heard the bin men outside, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't put the bin out last night. So I finished my call. I ran outside to get the bin thinking they've gone, they've been and gone, only to find that somebody else had put the bin out.
Benny.
Because that never happens. And just the running out and going like 10 feet and coming back in again was like, bloody hell, it's hot out there.
Yeah,
and that was like at 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Benny did it after our late night drive last night, because once the sun went down, we went for a drive for half an hour.
Oh, nice.
He's got to get 10 hours of driving in the dark.
Right.
Done.
Fun stuff.
And encountered 4 separate deer crossing the road.
Oh.
Which terrified him.
Yeah, it would do. Terrifies me. It's only a matter of time before you hit a
Right,
deer, and then I
yeah.
don't know what to do. What do you do when you hit a deer? Who do you call?
The police.
Deer busters?
Deer busters, yes.
Because I've already busted deer, I guess.
The deer's already busted you,
Oh.
is the problem.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to when that happens, because it's bound to happen.
Yeah. It's happened to Pop-Up. That's
Yeah,
why
good.
Benny's terrified.
Yeah. So how you been otherwise?
Good. My wallet is considerably lighter thanks to the braces.
Well,
Apparently, in the UK, because I was speaking to one of our Scottish friends today about this whole thing, for under 16s, it is free to get braces. But there's a massive waiting list.
I can imagine.
So she's just got her fingers crossed that he gets the call before he turns 16.
Right.
A little over $3,000 all told.
Anyway, yep, she'll just no college for her.
She's the only one going to college. What are you talking about? How have you been this week? You've been stressed.
Stressed to fuck, but
You work hard for the money, baby.
well, I show up.
You do more than show up.
It's just been a.
They would be lost without you.
It's just been a. With work and with your plans for the weekend and trying to cram everything into there's a reason why we don't normally record this on a Wednesday night,
Right, yes, because we would miss Friday.
and also it puts a huge amount of pressure on me to get my notes done and everything. So
Yes.
anyway, yes, we are recording on a Wednesday night. So we'll just be talking about Monday and Wednesday, and then we'll catch up with Friday
Next week.
next week when I
Yes.
don't think we have anything on next weekend.
No, fingers crossed.
Weekend after that, not so much. Oh, I did buy little wireless lapel mics.
Did we have some of those? Did
Yeah,
we
they did-
start
they
with
did-
those? Remember?
They didn't go well. So I've upgraded them to little wireless numbers that won't get caught up in things. So if we find ourselves in a hotel in New Mexico at the start of July and we want to do a Corrie podcast, we will have the technology with us to do so without having to cart the Zoom and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, because they might look askance
Yeah.
at us at the airport if we're carrying our Zoom with us.
Yeah, and microphones and stuff. Yeah, we're not going to be doing
No,
that.
we're not going to
so-
be doing that.
Anyway,
You know what came from Amazon for me today?
what?
My chord books for my
Oh, excellent.
4-string electric cigar box guitar. So I will have something new to play with now.
Excellent.
So excited.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Shall we preamble, my dear?
Yes, please.
Give us some of that humidor Corrie news?
Electric, Corrie news, boogie woogie woogie.
I went with humidor for some reason.
Because of cigar box.
Yeah. But is that the best I can do, really?
No.
It's 94 degrees and it's Wednesday. Shut up.
Humidity or
Oh, yeah.
humidor. It is humidor and humidor every second we're in this room. Congrats to Millie Gibson and to Maximus Evans for winning Best Young Performer and for Villain of the Year.
Congratulations.
At the British Soap Awards. Well deserved. A little sad that that's all that Corrie brought home, but you know,
Emmerdale won.
yes, and they should have won.
Emmerdale's been pretty good.
Yeah.
I have to say that.
I even know Emmerdale's been pretty good, and I don't even watch it.
So how do you know it's been pretty good?
Well, because I follow an awful lot of stuff on Twitter and because you
right,
talk about it and the whole Mina thing.
Yeah. It was over the top and ridiculous.
Right. But that's what a soap opera is supposed to do.
But by gum, it was entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've been doing well. I don't know if this is definitely commentary on, you know, the last time we had awards, Corrie were winning them hands down. I don't know, it's somewhat disappointing that that time seems to have passed.
Yeah. Well, maybe this will be a wake-up call and they'll start doing better.
Because by all accounts, it's been a terrible year for EastEnders as well. The people that I know that have been watching EastEnders haven't been loving it. So, you
So
know,
both of them need to up their game.
yeah, but good stuff for Emmerdale. It was
Yeah.
nice to see them win because they're always seem to be Coronation Street's
Nemesis.
ginger-haired stepchild kind of thing.
Ah.
Anyway,
Continuing. Maureen Littman gave us all an Easter egg on Monday by saying that Jim Fizz had an ology, referencing her book. You got an ology?
it's not
Which is-
referencing our book.
I thought it was because and from the commercial. But she wrote a book called You Got an Ology, which was based upon the commercial she did with the whole ology thing. I have seen the commercial.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
based on the commercial.
Yes.
Which is what my intro was about.
Right. Yes. So that's two 2 times that we've referenced it.
I quite liked her little look when she delivered the line.
Right.
It's kind of like she knew that she'd just said it, and she kind of, well, that's out there now.
It's kind of like in Spider-Man: Far From Home, when Willem Dafoe says to Tom Holland, "I'm something of a scientist myself," and then kind of looks at the camera.
Oof.
He doesn't really kind of look at the camera, but you feel him inwardly cringing that he has to say that line again.
Yeah.
You know?
There were definitely 2 camps for whether they appreciated that line or not. I quite appreciated it, but there were some people like, oh, really, really Dame Maureen, or really writers.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, but if she wasn't in on it, if she didn't want to do it, she wouldn't have done it. She's a dame after all. She's got a mean right hook.
Either way, it definitely happened.
It definitely happened. And finally, Julia Golding, our Shona, revealed at the British Soap Awards that she's expecting baby number 2, showing off her wee little baby bump.
That's a decent sized baby bump.
Yeah, she said it's smaller than with her first son, Franklin, so she's been able to hide it on the show. But now it's hilarious. And this happens every time that, somebody on a TV show announces they're pregnant. All I'm doing now is watching her and seeing how they're trying to hide it and what they're doing with her clothes and stuff.
She seems to be carrying cushions with her quite a bit.
Hilarious.
Like walking behind the bus.
Behind the counter quite a bit.
Now, the last time she became pregnant in real life, of course, her character was shot in the stomach, went into a coma and came out with brain damage. So
Right, yes.
who knows what will happen this time.
It'd be nice if they just...
What made her pregnant?
Yeah, let her be pregnant. Let her and David have one biological child.
Another child to ignore in that house. That's great. Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. Give something other than Max to focus on. And that's Corrie News.
That's Corrie News, which typically brings us to, Podcast for Coffee. You know what? It's fine. It's absolutely fine.
What? Nobody bought us coffee again this week?
Yes.
Do people not love us anymore? What is wrong with you people? Poor Gav sits in this hot box of a room, sweating and slaving over memes and YouTube videos and trimming Coronation Street down to 4 minutes for your viewing pleasure, and you cannot buy this poor man 1 cup of coffee a week? Forget me. I don't care. I don't care about any of this. But this man sweats and slaves over a hot monitor just for you, and you can't buy him a coffee. For shame.
It's always good when you say that you don't care. No, it is fine. We've been absolutely blessed for weeks and months as far as the coffees have been concerned. So
I had 2 nice cups of coffee today because I had a golden latte, a golden turmeric latte at Bigby, and then I had my coconut coffee with oat milk at Dunkin' Donuts a little while afterwards. So.
I had house coffee.
Yeah, you did.
And it made me think that I was sitting in a room that was above 90 degrees thanks to the thermometer placement.
And also because you were.
And it was really hot. Yeah, I do sit and... I'm doing it for my pleasure as much as anything else. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you think
And to avoid his family.
Well, there is that. If you think any of that is worth any more than the patience it requires to sit through it, you can buy us a coffee by heading to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street. And now this.
Welcome.
Oh, welcome to Last Year Tonight with me, John Oliver. Just enough time to quickly talk about the messier the better.
The messier, the better. Is this another one of Sally and Tim's kinks?
That's right, this was Nina trying to muscle in on Daisy's night out. It could get messy, said Daisy, The messier the better, said Nina. This was when Daisy was unpleasant and didn't want Nina to be going along in the
More
night out.
unpleasant than she is now.
I don't know if she's unpleasant anymore.
She's still a little unpleasant. She was unpleasant to Nikki, let's not forget.
I think she was entitled.
I
Anyway.
still love her. I love her more when she's more unpleasant.
I was Gavin, and you had a sunburn because you had yard sale fuel. You had a bit of sunburn as well. How's that looking? 'Cause
Oh,
it was
yeah,
on your
it's all
tattoo.
gone. It's all gone. Because
I
I've
was-
been rubbing aloe all over myself
I was
after the
worried about
camping
that.
trip this past weekend.
Yeah.
Because I was
Not good
dumb.
tattoo maintenance.
That's,
We've done this before. We know what's required.
that's why I bathed myself in aloe all week long.
You've been away camping, been to a baseball game, been on a 10-mile hike, been kayaking. That was your idea of heaven and my idea of hell. You were also almost eaten by a mole. Or that's how you pitched it. I'm not exactly sure that the mole was going to eat you.
No, but it scared me to death because it popped out underneath my sleeping bag, and I thought I was in the next sequel to Tremors. So scary.
It's a very poor sequel of Tremors. where
This past-
It's a mole.
This past week while camping, I was sleeping in the trailer, so no moles.
No.
I was just terrified that I was going to die during a thunderstorm.
Yeah. You were out of Twitter jail. Nothing had been removed from your timeline, but apparently you'd been spamming. You'd signed up for this thing that was posting on your behalf, I think. I think that's what happened.
Yeah. And then I stopped it, but I was still posting things occasionally from my shop, and it happened again. So
I tried to
fuck
explain
Twitter.
why the Lansing Lugnuts minor league baseball team mascot is a large purple dinosaur that isn't Barney with nuts and bolts attached to his face. Tyrone's Michigan State t-shirt may be destined for only one viewing as Alina takes him to buy some shiny new wardrobe with lots of zips but no socks. Jem and Chesney find themselves on different pages when it comes to Alice's cochlear implant operation and seek the advice of a
Cochlear.
complete stranger to break the impasse.
Where is Gemma and Chesney?
Stop asking that or they'll come back. Mary is an unexpected ally for Bernie in matters of the heart. Billy spends a week being overly interested in Summer's diet while she is slamming back the energy drinks as the pressure of exams begins to take its toll on
We've
her
been-
comprehension of Romance languages. We've been doing this for a fucking year.
Yeah. Fucking stop it.
ITV Stefan has signed the shortest lease in history as Leanne and Nick move back into Victoria Court, which doesn't go unnoticed by Sharon and any number of Harvey's backup goons. Dev's shoes are all squelchy. Todd is used to hearing "Si, senor," and Tommy O is forceful with selfies. Our moment of the week was Abby telling Nina that Seb's death was not her fault, and a boring moment of the week was Chesney being a dick to Gemma. And that was
Where are
Coronation
they?
Street. And the choo-choo and the talk of the street. This time last year. So, shall we dive in, my dear?
Yes, please.
So we only have 2 days to go through, so we can probably get out of here before I lose
Consciousness.
£20 in sweat and, yes, hand consciousness. Our first line this evening is Cathy's novelty headline. On Monday, Brian is packing fudge.
But not like
But
that.
not like that. Well, maybe like that. It's Cornish fudge. And Cathy is bored out of her
You know
tits.
how they get Cornish fudge, right?
I sense that this might be a joke.
Anal with a Cornish hen? I don't know.
Oh, that isn't a joke.
Maybe it's a joke. Is it funny? I don't know. It's hot in here. I got nothing. All I could think of was anal with a Cornish hen. Is that how you get Cornish fudge?
Well, I'm not sure if the science holds up, but we can but try. Cathy is bored out of her tits with this and asks if Brian loves her. He insists that he does, otherwise why would he be planning their future together? Sometimes she says she's not too sure.
And also, Brian.
Right.
Come
Later in
on.
the cabin, Cathy is still looking glum while Brian goes on about Cornwall again. He talks about their future, explains a statement maybe coming through their letterbox one day, a statement with that's addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Packham. And he drops down to one knee. Are you proposing? She asks. And he points out all the tax and insurance benefits of getting married. So Cathy
So sexy.
eyes him up and down
So
and
romantic.
storms out. And he says, can you help me up? Because my knee's gone. And
Yeah, and she said, fuck that
she
for a
just ignores it.
bag of Cornish fudge.
Cathy goes to the pub to complain about Brian to Evelyn, Jenny and Daisy. Cathy mentions the letters from last week, which were between him and Julie Carp, his ex. Julie Carp was good. Daisy gasps, his ex? Or gasps at the idea that somebody else is going out with Brian. The letters included her asking him back, and she doesn't know how he replied to it. Jenny reminds Cathy that love triumphs over all. And then in comes...
Using Leo as the example of love triumphing over all, not the dude who died trying to save her life.
Well, love didn't triumph over that. Death triumphed over that.
Yeah, but still.
I quite liked that
Come
Daisy
on.
pointed out that what you're talking about, you were arguing about beer the other week.
Right.
Or yesterday.
Yeah, and Jenny said, beer is life.
Then in comes Jim Fizz, Mixologist Extraordinaire.
Jim Fizz. Jim Fizz.
So if Fizz was to marry, she'd be Fizz.
Right. Jim. Cousin to Gin Fizz.
Now, you posted something about a turtle.
Yes.
I don't understand it.
You've never had a slow gin fizz before?
No.
Okay. Is that a cocktail not available in the United Kingdom?
It's not a combination of words I've ever heard before, but
You've never heard
big,
of a slow gin fizz?
I wasn't a big gin drinker, so
Drink gin.
yeah.
You don't like the scent of elderberries?
The only time that I drank gin was, and I think I've said this before, was the day before I moved into my flat in Stirling and I was staying at my mum's. She was away on vacation and I'd gone to the pub. And I came back keen to drink some more, but found that she didn't have any beer in the house and only had
Gin.
But she didn't have any mixers and the only thing that we had was Coke. So I had a gin and Coke. They do not go.
No. Gin and tonic, on the other hand,
Famously goes.
famously go quite well.
Yeah. He's got an ology, says Evelyn. Jim Fizz thinks he has the gift of the gab, and Cathy looks like she might be falling for it.
Ugh.
So Jim Fizz and Cathy get chatting about Brian and his plans to move to Cornwall, and she's just telling him far too much information about the proposal and about the letters and all that sort of stuff.
Also, he has a thing for redheads. Just like our son.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. No, he and I've teased him about
Oh.
the redhead thing. Also, Chris Pratt in Jurassic Park has a thing for redheads. Redheads
Anymore?
that run around and scream and need rescuing all the time.
She gets a call from Brian wanting her back home at 6 for her dinner, but Jim Fizz reckons that she could have more fun here with him and his cocktails. Jim Fizz has taken Cathy
Like a slow gin fizz.
out the back.
But not like that.
When Brian comes in looking for Cathy, who is now late, Evelyn goes off to make sure there's no funny business, but there is funny business that she interrupts, and then she quickly manages to shepherd Brian away before he sees anything. It was
Maybe Brian should have seen something. Maybe that would have woken him up to what an idiot he is. Probably not, though, because of events that happened later. But still, he's so oblivious, that Brian. It's like, I'm going to plan our whole lives for you because I love you so much, and not even take into consideration that maybe this isn't what you want.
Well, she's kind of made it clear that she doesn't want to go, and then as soon as she mentions that she might change her mind, and he
Right,
goes
yeah.
back into full move mode again.
Right, yeah. Yeah, this is not a successful relationship.
A hungover Cathy is brought back into the Rovers, where Evelyn puts a rolled-up bar towel on her shoulders for some reason, but at the mention of a kebab, she rushes to the toilets to vomit. I ain't cleaning that shit up, says Daisy, and no one blames her. On Wednesday, Cathy gets up late to find Brian complaining about the magazine selection they have at the cabin. Cathy initially thought that Brian had heard about her infidelity with Jim Fizz, but he hasn't. He really just cares about the magazines.
It's just one kiss. Do we count that as infidelity?
I think Cathy does.
One drunken kiss.
Well, it's what it represents, really, isn't it? A desire for something more than she has.
Does she really desire Jim Fizz, though?
Well, I think it's more that she doesn't desire Brian.
Well, can you blame her?
Cathy goes to see Evelyn and begs for her discretion. Evelyn thought better of her than a mixologist. Cathy insists that she loves Brian and was wanting to punish him for the letters thing. Evelyn advises that she should come clean if she wants to be with him, otherwise it'll come back on her like a kipper. That was a good line.
Or a kebab.
The kipper really does have a bit of an aftertaste that you eat it and a day later you belch and you taste it again.
Right, yeah. I was just thinking of the fact that just the mention of a kebab the night before had her running to the bathroom.
Absolutely. Back at the cabin, and Brian is still complaining about magazines, Cathy tries to distract him by accepting his proposal for marriage and a joint bank account. Outside, Brian bumps into Jenny, who chats a bit about the cocktail night but gives nothing away. Brian announces...
Well, she has nothing to give away because Evelyn is the only one who knows about the smooch.
Brian announces that Cathy has accepted his proposal and he plans to take some cocktail making lessons to impress her, and Jenny promises to send him Jim Fizz's details. So Brian gets in contact with him and Jim turns up at the cabin and is full of really dodgy patter, learning that Brian was recommended to him from Jenny. What a night that was, says Jim. Yeah, last night. Jim isn't the type to kiss and tell, but he does tell Brian that he got a kiss.
Right, yeah, and also talking about how hot all the redheads were and everything. And it's like, you're talking to a guy who lives on the street, who knows these women. Why would you...
Well, I don't think he's like a poster boy for discretion, is there, Jim Fizz?
Well, that's true. Too many gin fizzes.
I still don't know what that is. You can continue to make that joke. I don't know if... He seemed kind of good fun on the Monday, but just became a bit of a pain on the arse on the Wednesday.
Yeah, right. Because he's only there because plot. So.
Oh, sure.
So he doesn't have to be likable for very long.
Cathy sees Evelyn later and confesses that she bottled coming clean with Brian. Brian is the one for her, and she didn't want to risk it. Meanwhile, she's got a fake headline poster made up that says "Brian and Cathy in wedding shocker?" ? Thank you, Charlie Millward, for that.
Hilarious.
Meanwhile, Brian and Jim are making a mess of the cocktails while Jim tells his story of snogging the hottie from last night who had a dull proposal from her fella who was looking for a life insurance discount and who had been corresponding with his ex. Brian puts two and two together.
Brian is attempting to be Tom Cruise in Cocktail.
Yeah.
He's trying to like pour the drinks from like really, really far away. And Jim Fizz is rightly saying, no, you got to get closer. And he keeps getting further away. And it's like, why did you even pay for lessons if you're just going to ignore?
Yeah, this isn't really even cocktail making. This is just pouring liquid at a height.
Right. Yeah. It's like, what is the point here? And why are we talking about Tom Cruise in this episode of Coronation Street?
Cathy has put the headline in place as Brian comes out onto the street. Happy engagement, cries Yasmin and Roy probably, but Brian is in no mood to celebrate. There will be no Cathy and Brian wedding. He stomps inside the cabin.
He shouts,
pursued by a Cathy.
He shouts, fake news.
He does.
As if he were someone else with a gigantic inflated head that never listens to anybody else's advice.
Well, and he does give him the credit for it.
Right, yes. Although he doesn't mention him by name.
No.
Because who would?
Inside, it quickly comes out that Jim Fizz blabbed. Cathy isn't particularly apologetic for it. She says that she does love Brian, as cliche as it is. But what about the letters from Julie Carp? And Brian insists that the infatuation was one way and he had spurned her advances. They reach something of an impasse and it seems difficult to see where they're going to go from here.
Yeah, he's all indignant about this. And it's like, well, Brian, if that's the case, then why were you hiding it from Cathy in the first place and not telling her, oh, this, my ex keeps writing me letters and I've told her I don't want her back, so don't worry about it. But I just wanted to let you know that this is happening. Why wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't that be something important for her to know?
Well, he says it's private correspondence, which of course it is.
Right.
But it does require some kind of hiding on his part, that he has come into receipt of this and he's hiding it away like it's something to be hidden and
right
and not discussed. And
And also, private correspondence is one thing, but when you are in love with someone and you want to marry them and spend the rest of your life with them, you shouldn't have secrets like that from them. You know, it's like, especially if it's not a big deal and you've spurned her, just say that. But he is such a big head about everything.
Sniper's dream.
And just does not listen and just bloviates all over the place.
Yeah, the Julie Carp thing does seem to be a bit of a plot contrivance to give Cathy something to be upset about. But
Right, yeah, because that didn't even occur to us last week when she found the letters. We were like, uh-oh, has he already bought a house? Is he, you know, has he made a deal to buy that shop already? Is he buying up something for Cornwall? You know, it never crossed either one of our minds that it was an ex.
no.
This feels just like a really shitty way for Cathy to go out, doesn't it?
She just seems to be going through the motions on it, and even though she insists that she loves Brian, it seems like she's just so tired of it as she's explaining. Even when she's trying to make her case in the cabin at the end there, and she says, "Look, it's cliche and everything, but I do love you, Brian," and he, I think, says that he begins to wonder, and then she casts up the letter, and they have the little backwards and forwards. But when he kind of makes out that this seems to be it, she's kind of, I don't even know if she's disappointed.
She doesn't seem to be. This seems to be more of a relief than anything.
The whole episode on Wednesday, she was hungover, but she seemed hungover. She was just like, I just can't work up the enthusiasm to be bothered about anything. Although she does go out and she gets the Novelty headline, but the way that Evelyn reacts to that is like it's like it's almost expected of her. That, oh, you've gone and that's what you've gone and done to kind of prove your love, sort of thing.
Right, yeah.
Her point was, you should tell him. You should tell him, because if he means that much to you, then you want to clear the air.
Right.
And if you want, and then speak to him about the letters.
The lady doth protest too much.
Oh, she doesn't protest enough.
Right. Well, the lady doth go to the gimmicks shop too much.
Right. Gimmicks with an X.
Yes, gimmicks with an X.
At the end, we're to assume, I think.
Yes. And you know what they have in the back of the gimmicks shop, behind the partition?
They have the Cornish fudge next.
Right.
So I was
That's
right.
where we
I was
get
right
the
then.
Cornish fudge.
You ever had Cornish fudge?
And also, you know, your standard vibrators and butt plugs and stuff like that.
In the joke shop?
Yeah, in the back of the joke shop.
Oh.
Behind the partition. It's like Spencer's
Have
Gifts.
you had Cornish fudge?
I don't think so. I've never been that close to a Cornish hen.
Right. Moving on then, our next storyline is I Still Know What You Did Last
Summer.
On Monday. Yeah, see, the sequel's never as good as the original.
Never.
On Monday.
You liked that TV show, though.
Yeah, the TV show was pretty decent.
Yeah, one season.
Oh, please, just one season. On Monday, Summer gets up late and immediately gets lectured from Billy. He wants her to go to school with him to a meeting with Crawshaw to discuss the whole exam cheating thing. And she refuses because there's no point, because she cheated on her exam and she knows that she's going to get thrown out of it or whatever. He tells her there are lots of universities she doesn't need to go to Oxford, and she tells him that she's not going to go to either of them, any of them, whatever.
Right, yeah. It's Oxford or nothing. So it's nothing.
On the street, Summer is ignored by Ash and Amy, who both eventually reveal that they think Summer is a bitch for letting Addie take the blame.
And they're not wrong.
Right. And they leave when Aaron arrives and he offers to take her for a smoothie, but not like that, to cheer her up. Just as friends, mind you, I realise that we're not going out with each other anymore. And it's like, what is it with this relationship, right? Because he's been in maybe 4 episodes?
Yeah, it's not like it's even a relationship to begin with.
They weren't going out. Then they kind of went out.
Right.
And then he said, we're definitely not going out.
Right.
And then he changed his mind.
Right.
And they went out.
Right.
And then she said, we're not going out anymore.
Right.
I think that's a summary of the relationship.
Pretty
where
much.
They've spent more time talking to each other about how they're not going out with each other than they've spent
actually
going out with each
together.
other.
Yeah. It wasn't like their first date in the hospital.
Oh, probably, yeah. So Todd meets up with Paul at Nina's Rolls. Paul has heard from Billy about Summer's uni plans and asks them to have a word with her. Todd jumps at the chance of being bad cop.
Of course he does.
So Todd and Paul go to see Summer. They tell her she's wasting her enormous talent and her superior brains. Summer tells them to fuck off. And then, completely out of the blue, Aaron and Summer are back together again, and Aaron tells Summer that he wants to go on holiday with her.
Wow.
He knows that they're not going out together anymore, but that doesn't mean that they can't go out together. So
Wow.
she agrees, because her friends have told her that she's a bitch.
Right, yeah. I have no friends anymore, so I guess you'll do.
This Aaron character, is he a student at school?
He's not a student at her school, no. I think he's the same age, though. But she only knows him from the support group. So he's got to live nearby.
Right, and he turned up on the street unannounced. So, yeah, he must be close by.
Right.
Where are they getting the money for this holiday? This week's holiday?
Are they going with his parents? I'm assuming they're going with his parents, right? It's not just two teenagers going off on holiday.
That's what it sounded like.
How is that even possible?
He would have said if his parents were involved. I think the intention here is for the two of them to go off on holiday together on their own. And we're about to find out, if that is the case, we're about to find out something shocking. Because then Billy gets home, finds her, and before she's had a chance to say, hiya, Billy jumps down her throat for not asking how his meeting with Crawshaw went. Apparently, she's been banished from the exam or whatever. Me and Aaron are going to go on holiday, says Summer, who until recently harboured ambitions for Oxford. Me and Aaron are going on holiday. That's the grammar of a girl who hopes to go to Oxford.
Me are going to holiday.
Aaron come too.
Yes.
Billy thinks it sounds like what she needs right now. Seems to give his blessing, and then Summer sees a Beachbody advert in her magazine and she shits herself. So Billy's okay with this?
Billy.
Summer's 17.
A bishop.
He's not a bishop.
Archbishop.
He's an archdeacon.
Archdeacon. Whatever the hell he is. He doesn't even know.
He's an archdeacon.
It's nice that this week, at least Summer asks if Billy is doing Imran's service. So at least one person in that house knows what an archdeacon does occasionally. But still, he's like freaking out over every little thing. Although, to be fair, let's remember, this is the guy that said, stop studying, go out and have fun with your friends.
But that was good advice.
It was good advice. But remember, at the time, we were kind of like, why do you want her to stop studying? I guess because it hadn't become annoying for us yet.
No, I think I was okay with that at the time.
But
Because you need to take a break.
yeah, you do need to take a break every once in a while. But to go off with a kid that I don't think Billy has ever
Billy's
met.
never met her. And
Summer
Summer's
doesn't
barely met
even
him.
know him.
Not really.
Summer knows very little about this kid. Well, at least we know that she still has an eating disorder because she just happened upon a magazine with a Beachbody article on the front page
Right.
from 1994.
I don't know. Call me old-fashioned.
You're old-fashioned.
But when you're not going out with a guy,
Right.
I've watched a little bit of Love Island. I hate them all.
Right, of course. You're supposed to hate
I
them
think
all.
so. But even there, if you're not going out with someone, and you made it clear that you're not going out with someone,
Mm-hmm.
if that person was to then say we should go on holiday together, I think that constitutes a red flag.
Yes. Yes.
There is something that he's not picking up if he's planning on going on holiday with you, and then says that he misses you and all that sort of stuff.
Right, but she agrees to this. So apparently she was putting down what he was picking up. Because she says yes.
Oh, she jumps at the chance.
Right, because she has no other friends now.
Right.
Because she was a bitch to Addie. And nobody is a bitch to my Addie.
Right.
Nobody.
Yeah, there was part of me because I just don't like confrontation.
Right.
But I thought, I wonder if they're going a little bit too far, but
They weren't.
they weren't. They really
They weren't.
weren't.
No.
It was terrible what she did.
And I love Asha and Amy sticking up for Addie, considering how much they tease him over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But they have his back, and
Oh,
I like
definitely.
that.
Right.
I like that an awful lot. Yeah, so are we going to get a Summer loses her virginity on holiday story then? 'Cause she's the only one who still has her virginity. Not that virginity means anything, it's just a social construct, but still.
I think it does mean something, doesn't it? It means that you haven't had sex yet.
Right, yeah, but it does in the grand scheme of life, does it really matter whether or not you've had sex?
Only if you haven't. I think.
And you're, somebody who cares about having sex,
Yeah.
which is not everybody.
Right. Paul and Todd.
Paul and Todd, they're gonna fuck, aren't they?
What's going
Eventually.
on? What is going on with Brocklebank? Why is he never in 2 consecutive scenes in this storyline? It's odd.
Todd and Paul are gonna hook up, and I'm gonna hate it.
Oh no, they can't.
They're
They
gonna.
can't.
They're gonna. They are.
Maybe it happens on Friday. In which case, I'm glad that we're not talking about it. Anyway, let's move on.
I bet it happens while we're on vacation.
Our next storyline this morning is Blind Drunk.
This morning,
No, this evening. What did I say?
you said this morning.
Did I? On Monday, Gail catches Audrey taking out the garbage, which apparently is something that's worth remarking upon because Gail is astonished to find this. It's her cataract operation this afternoon, which reminds us, oh, yeah, that's right. Audrey's blind.
Right. Blind drunk.
That's the name of that's what you said. It's her cataract operation this afternoon, and Gail assumes that she's worried about it. Audrey seems more worried about sleeping next to Gail while she recuperates, and also wine.
Right, yes.
Later, Gail is rooting through the bin looking for a bottle of special wine that I think was a gift for Nick or whatever, that she suspects Audrey has thrown out in error, but when she finds the bottle, it's empty, and there are tons of other bottles in the garbage too. And
Whoa.
Shona wastes no time in throwing Audrey under the bus about this. And then after the operation, Gail brings Audrey home. It was a complete success, and now Audrey wants a drink. Shona goes off to put the kettle on. I said I need a fucking drink, shouts Audrey, and Gail makes that face. Later, Audrey has passed out drunk in her chair, and Gail makes the decision to hide all the booze in the house. A little intervention there by Gail. So on Wednesday, Gail and Audrey turn up for lunch at the bistro. If you're so bothered about your mother's drinking, Gail, maybe don't take her to the bistro.
But then again, oh no, I guess they could go to Speed Doll.
Or they could just have lunch in the house.
Right.
Although that would require one of them cooking something.
Yeah. Or getting Shona to cook them something.
Audrey's keen to get wired into the vino, but Gail puts her foot down and orders lime and soda instead. So after lunch, Audrey and Gail chat about Toyah and Imran. Audrey doesn't see what Imran saw in Abby with her mucky overalls. And as all this is happening, Debbie in the bistro is trying to find some cover for a cleaner who has quit, but she's finding it difficult to get somebody from the agency.
Right.
So Nick suggests Gail.
Right, because whenever there's something that needs to be cleaned and it's owned by one of her children,
Right.
they get Gail. It's the trifecta now because she's cleaned the barbershop, she's cleaned the factory,
Yep.
and now she's cleaning the bistro.
And she had a little Freddie Flintstone tabard when she was cleaning the factory. I
Yes, she
quite
was.
enjoyed that. So yeah, but I guess it was quite amusing. But in another way, it was just really sad that Debbie said, "Are you sure she's up to all that stretching and bending over and stuff?" And Nick said, "She's cheap."
That's your mother.
That's your mother.
That's your mother. And you're her favorite child.
He's had a much better relationship with her than David did.
Right.
Even Sarah.
Oofed.
So anyway, it looks like Gail's going to be the cleaner at the bistro now because
Huzzah.
Craig spilled some vodka and blackcurrant during the fight between Leanne and
Adam.
Adam that we'll be talking about later.
Yes.
Audrey gets home and begs Shona for a glass of vino. When Shona reveals that there is none in the house, Audrey gives her a tenner to run to Deb's to get a bottle and get a tip single on a match while she's at it. And then Gail gets home and finds Audrey pished unconscious again in her chair. Shona doesn't think they can monitor 24/7 at 80 years old, and Gail thinks that's exactly what they should be doing.
Right, yeah. That's exactly when you should be monitoring them.
But the most important thing is that Shona has appreciated the peace and quiet with Audrey being
Audrey passed out.
comatose
Yeah.
with the drink. And that's as far as we get with that this week.
So we're back to ha ha ha. Look at the drunk old lady. Isn't it funny?
I don't know if it's been played for laughs anymore, is it? It isn't funny.
It's not funny. It's not funny. It's sad. It's really sad and uncomfortable and not in a good way.
Yeah, when you had the little moments where she's pissed and she's talking to Max, or she's pissed and she's talking to
Sam,
then those moments in isolation
right,
were kind of funny.
Right.
But when you do it over and over again,
right,
and now she seems to be unable to go anywhere without having wine or something else.
And not drink anything but wine all day long.
Right, so now it's becoming a problem with her.
She's like, it's 10, Gail's like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. She's like, we're retired. We can drink at 10 o'clock in the morning. No, that's big old red flag there.
Yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't be drinking so early in the morning, every morning.
And all day.
So we've kind of tackled the cataract thing where, remember, she was... Did she crash her car or something like that?
She had that eye cover on for a day.
Right.
That is not how long you have the eye cover on after eye surgery.
Well, maybe that's how long Audrey has it on for. And she's disregarded it after it. But apparently it's gone fine. So that's that dealt with. And now we just have the fact that...
Well, no, because she starts to do her other eye.
Are we going down the line where there is an Audrey alcoholism story here?
And it kind of seems to be what they're hinting at.
Do we need an 80-year-old as an alcoholic story? I mean, I don't... On paper, I don't dislike the idea because... I guess it's an interesting topic because you don't automatically assume that great grannies have drink problems.
Oh, maybe you don't.
Oh, I don't. Do you?
It just, and Audrey's point of view seems to be, I'm going to die soon anyway, so might as well hurry it along.
Or might as well enjoy myself.
Right. Seems to be her point of
Doesn't
view.
seem to be enjoying herself, though. That's the thing.
No. I mean, we have finally gotten Peter sober. We finally, I guess, sort of gotten Abby back off the drugs.
For now.
But Abby, huge back and forth drug addiction. Kelly, back and forth drug addiction. Do we need another addiction storyline on the street? This seems to be an issue with mental health in Manchester. Maybe everybody needs one of those little sad lamps. Maybe they're just not getting enough sunshine. Because it seems to be an epidemic in this street.
Well, what is it? What else is it that's missing from Audrey's life that she's filling in with wine or
Nigel Havers?
Right, she's missing Nigel Havers too much.
She's filling the Nigel Havers sized hole in her life with the vino. And I mean, she has complained. Nobody needs me anymore.
That's what she's missing. She's missing Claudia. She's missing a rival. She's missing
something to do because she can't cut hair anymore.
Right. So she's missing all that.
But doesn't she still own the barbershop? So she could still, even if she's not cutting hair, she could be like managing it and doing the books and taking an interest, right? Mm-hmm. There's things that she could be doing, or I don't know. She could be like Rita and Ken and just not have storylines anymore, and then just show up on set every once in a while to scold their children, or in Rita's case, adopted children, and then leave again.
I don't know. I like the idea of an Audrey storyline.
Yeah.
I do love me Sue Nichols.
Right. No, absolutely. But if you're going to give her a storyline...
Oh, you don't give her this. Give her something else.
Do you have to give her a storyline that makes her look pathetic? Yeah,
true.
Because didn't that sort of happen with the whole Nigel Havers thing, where it was like, you know, her family poo-pooing her and trying to convince her that he was trying to...
Yeah, she's getting scammed again.
Scammed again, and, you know, fighting over the coffin with Claudia and stuff. I mean...
Good times.
At least that was funny. Mm-hmm. And not in a pathetic way. In a genuinely funny way. Remember when Audrey hit Claudia over the head with flowers that she, like, just threw at her at that... That was
I think you might be misremembering that.
Or was it a vase or a trophy or something?
I remember her dropping the mic, but she was pissed at that point as well.
But she chucked something at Claudia as well, like the flowers.
Oh, yeah, I think she did.
Yeah.
And then, didn't she get hit herself in the back of the head? Oh, and she went down like a sack of spuds.
She did.
That was funny. That was funny as fuck.
Yeah.
The clearly mannequin version of Audrey went down like a sack of spuds.
I mean, if we're going to give the older members of the cast storylines,
which I'm not against,
which we're not against, have it be stuff where they're interacting with one another, not with their children thinking that they are pathetic and old, or not even really thinking that they're pathetic and old, but just concerned about them.
Yeah, because this isn't Hollywood
all the time.
What else does it say about? Because you got the two of them, Audrey and Gail, supposedly enjoying their retirement, and now Gail's working as a cleaner.
Right.
Because while Audrey's in her 80s, Gail's not too far behind. Audrey
she's in her 60s.
Yeah, she wasn't having Gail when she was in her 40s. So yeah, so Gail should be. And I'm once again reminded that Nick is 41 years old. In the show.
In the show, he's older than that in real life.
Right. Moving on, the next story is Mimi with 2 M's and 2 I's. On Monday, Fizz and Phil with 2 L's are in Nina's roles. Thanks to the ceiling coming in and covering everyone in horse spunk that time, he's discovered that the wiring is fucked. It needs fixed, and it's more chaos in that house. Then Ty comes in and happens to overhear it, and he refreshes his offer. He's not happy with the girls living in a house where there is electrical faults.
And he offers to move back in with Craig and Faye.
That's the sweetener, that he's going to move back into the salon flat without telling Craig and Faye about it. So,
well, he still owns it, so they can GTF.
So Fizz agrees. And he offers for Phil to come as well.
And stay with.
But I don't think Phil's coming. It's just Fizz on the road.
Well, yeah. I imagine this sort of thing happens
never
quite a lot in old houses in the UK.
Oh, the electrics, yeah.
The electrics. Because even here, you still kind of sometimes have like the glass wiring and stuff in like old houses from the 1800s.
Fizz meets Evelyn in the pub. She's moved back into number 9, and Evelyn is pleased to hear this, thinking that someone else can help her do the washing up. Fizz goes to show the dress that she wants from a magazine, but the pages are stuck together by the remains of that horse spunk, and this wedding is beginning to feel cursed, says Fizz. Oh, the way we, says Evelyn, who's suddenly become Scottish.
As all the best people are.
On Wednesday, at the factory, Fizz gets a text letting her know that Mimi won't be coming to the wedding because she's getting dental work done, and Fizz does a little happy dance at this, because not only will Mimi not be coming to the wedding, but she'll be in pain at the same time.
Woohoo!
Finally, Fizz is catching a break until Phil texts and suggests that they postpone the wedding.
Yeah, for a dental appointment.
Right.
GTF, Phil with 2 L's, if that is your real name.
Sally has sympathy after her experience with Tim's mum, who she can handle in small doses, and she suggests compromise, but Fizz is determined not to postpone, and Phil can like it or lump it, and Mimi, she can shove it up her arse.
Right up her arse!
Tyrone gets home and hears Fizz put her foot down with Phil with 2 L's about his fucking mother. She has refused to move the date. And later, Phil tracks Fizz down to the Rovers. It turns out Mimi has moved the dental appointment because that was always the alternative, right?
Right, yeah.
Just
and the
move
thing
your
that you
dental
should
appointment.
do,
So
although considering how long how long the waiting list is for braces.
I don't think she's going in for braces.
Yeah, but there could be other waiting lists for other dental work.
But she can make the wedding after all. But more than that, she'll be arriving early. She's very keen to help to organise.
No.
And Fizz puts her foot down again. She can come,
No.
but she can have nothing to do with the planning. This is my wedding. This is my day. And Phil, he looks like he's... How do I explain this to my mum?
Right.
Are they going to get married?
I hope so, because I love Phil. And I think he and Fizz are good together.
Yep. I don't know if it's looking like it.
Like I said, I hope so, because I like the two of them together. And, you know, it would be nice for Fizz to be happy. And I think, for the most part, when Mimi's not around, she is happy with Phil. And Phil is happy with her. And Phil genuinely loves her. And it's not going to leave her for a younger Armenian model.
Unless the script dictates that he does. Yeah,
I don't want Phil to leave the show.
I don't want him to leave, and I don't want
Fizz to go and get
Fizz
back
to get
together
back
with
together
Tyrone.
again.
No. Because I think they work better. Like, you know, co-parenting, and that's it. I think they appreciate one another better.
Yeah, I'm not sure they work any differently apart than they do together, but anyway.
There's less sex.
Well, yeah. It's it was the obvious return the minute that he started to go out with Alina. Now remember, Tyrone still has that tattoo in his leg.
And Alina, she's not pregnant now, but let's remember, Alina was pregnant.
And probably has had that baby.
Well, one would hope that she has had that baby by now. It's been 9 months.
When did she go out with it?
I can't remember. It has to have been 9 months ago.
Was
It
it
was last year.
Was it?
Yeah, it wasn't this year.
Oh, yeah, because they were fighting at Christmas.
Right.
Him and Phil, that's right. Yeah, so it's been a while. But yeah, that was the obvious reset button was, you know, something will happen, but they'll end up getting back together and then they'll pretend that everything's been fine. So it seems very important that they don't get back together again. Otherwise, that is exactly what's just happened. We've just hit a reset button. Oh well, our penultimate storyline is Abby's next last chance at happiness. At the garage, Abby learns that she has a new hearing for custody for Alfie, and it is tomorrow. That was quick.
Tomorrow.
Meanwhile, Tyrone is upset by Wethy County's new kit. It has a lace-up collar, apparently.
Yes, because they're all pirates now.
Later, Kev. Well, that was the fashion of the day a little while ago.
Or is it like a ghillie shirt?
It's a little bit like that, yeah.
Are they going to start wearing kilts instead of shorts? That'd be fun. Fun for me.
Later, Kev brings Abby up to speed with the Toyah situation. Abby feels responsible for it, but Kev says it has nothing to do with her now. Let's get Alfie back. Abby is enjoying a cuppa with Sally and Nina's rolls. Abby is nervous about tomorrow, reckoning that the judge looks at her like something out of Trainspotting. Sally hasn't seen Trainspotting, but reckons that Kev is a great man to have on her side. Kev. Abby promises not to waste this chance with Alfie if she's given it. So she gets home, she's spoken with the social worker Chloe, and I'm afraid it's bad news. If she gets custody, it's only with supervision. So much for our family together. One step at a time, says Kev, who looks like he's had a wash in the last fortnight, so that's pretty good,
That's
right?
something.
Right.
Still has that jacket, though.
He has had that jacket for years.
Yeah.
And years.
Yeah.
And years.
And it looks it.
Right. Is Abby being a little... Is she expecting a little bit too much here? That she seems very, very broken by the fact that if she does get custody, it's with supervision. As if that's like, well, in that case, just don't fucking bother giving me custody then.
It just reinforces, once again, how everybody would have been much better off if, after the hearing, she and Imran and Toyah had just co-parented that child.
Which is what they were doing, right?
Well, which
Or
was
they were trying to do. They were getting in that. They were getting in that direction.
which they were trying to do, and then Abby tried to kidnap the child and take him to Costa Rica.
Oh, Costa Rica. How did I forget?
Costa Rica!
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure this is a great way to end it. Great way to end this. So she's got her custody tomorrow because, sure, tomorrow, right?
Right, but she's going to have to be, like, living with the foster parent or something? I don't quite understand what she was...
She gets custody, but it's under supervision, so every day the court's going to appoint somebody to come and watch her and make sure that she's not taking drugs or killing the child or whatever.
Who knows?
So there'll be some supervision going on, which
Right.
kind of seems... Does that seem reasonable? It kind of seems reasonable.
It seems reasonable. Again, it would be nice of her if Alfie's dad was alive to do that, but, whatevs.
Yep. You can only push with the cock you've got, as my mum used to say. So moving on. Our final storyline is the solicitor with the dragon tattoo. And during this storyline, we're going to see a character break character and remain broken out of that character now. On Monday, Toyah is ironing. That wasn't what I was talking about. Preparing for Imran's funeral, Leanne buzzes the flat and Toyah burns her best Imran's funeral outfit.
Right, her
Leanne
best
comes
black
up
dress.
and promises to have Toyah's back. There are going to be people at that funeral who don't want Toyah there, thanks to Adam and his accusations.
And also because Toyah drove into a building.
That too. Outside the cabin, Peter runs into Alia, who already thinks that Toyah is guilty of everything after she's spoken with Adam. Then Peter gets a call inviting him to a meeting, to which he agrees, and his call was from DS Blondie, and he goes in to be interviewed by her. She points out Adam's allegations of Toyah saying that she could kill Imran, which Peter laughs off as a figure of speech. She has questions about his relationship with Toyah, and in particular, the story behind baby Susie. Gulp, says Peter. And he explains Toyah's desperation to have a baby, the devastation of the surrogate's miscarriage, and the secret deal that she struck with Eva. They split when he found out, but he can understand now why she did what she did. DS Blondie, though, calls it extreme, especially as she's fostered 3 kids and agreed to take on her husband's baby that was born from infidelity. Peter says Toyah is very forgiving.
Right, yeah. And also, DS Blondie making a big deal about Toyah having fostered 3 children is kind of ridiculous because that's what foster parents do.
Oh, yeah.
I know foster parents that have fostered like
Dozens.
30
right?
kids, so that shouldn't be a strike against her at all.
Well, as DS Blondie says, I'm just trying to build up a picture in my head of Toyah's frame of mind here.
And also, what was she going to do? Say, nope, no, Alfie. No, I reject this child because he did not come for me. That's not the sort of thing she would do. Although she does other things this week that seem not the sort of thing
That's what I'm talking about, with the break of character.
that liberal...
Yeah. Veggie tree-hugging Toyah.
Right. Yeah.
At the funeral, meanwhile, everyone apart from Leanne is ignoring Toyah or sending her nasty looks, including Yasmin. What a fucking cow. Toyah gets up for her eulogy while people continue to throw hate at her. She says that Imran tackled life head on, which I think was an ill-advised phrase to use. She wishes that he was the one up here talking about her, and she breaks down. After, she invites Syra back to the bistro for the wee cup of tea, but Syra tells Toyah to suck her balls. As far as she's concerned, and from the perspective of someone who has been back on the street for 15 minutes and only ever comes back when her children die, this is all Toyah's fault. Then Peter comes in, looking for a word. He explains about being called in to see DS Blondie, about Adam telling them about her threatening to kill Imran, and also Blondie was keen to get the goss about baby Susie. Oh, says Toyah.
Yeah.
Because at this point, Toyah now knows kind of the line that the police are going to take here and how
Right.
this all just starts to look a little bit dodgy.
Yes.
At the bistro, the main topic of conversation is Toyah's absence. Missing your husband's wake is not a good look, says Alia, and it looks worse when Peter arrives and Toyah still isn't there. Peter explains about the police sniffing around Susie and how he told Toyah, and as far as he knew, Toyah was already here. Leanne doesn't know why the police are digging all this up, so Peter tells her about Adam grassing Toyah up over her remarks about wanting to kill Imran if he ever lied to her again. Plus, the police are here, says Peter ominously, and the camera cuts to Craig, either about to bump into something or just after he's bumped into something.
And spilled his drink for the 5th time.
So Leanne goes to have it out with Adam about being a stinking grass. Adam doubles down on the only bit of evidence he has, which is hearsay that Toyah said to Leanne that she would kill Imran if he lied again. And I had to remind myself about that. It was like, he didn't hear that. He heard someone else say that she heard that, which is
Well, no,
hearsay.
he was standing behind Toyah when she said it. No, because it was after the accident. No, you're right. It is hearsay. Gosh, what is wrong with my brain? It is just totally fried in this heat.
Leanne knows her sister, and her sister ain't no killer. Adam suspects that the sisters of all killers would say that, so Leanne slaps him.
Right.
And then knees him in the newts.
And then says, yeah, why don't you ask your aunt about that? Or maybe one of her brothers.
Whoa, says Craig, and he rushes over, bumping into something. Next, we see Toyah at the police station with some things that she wants to get off her chest. She wants to help them with their inquiries, and she explains that the supposed threats against Imran were figure of speech, and she didn't act on them. Plus, she didn't say them to Adam, she said them to Leanne. And she had just found out that Abby was trying to kidnap Alfie, and she was stressed that day. Blondie puts it to Toyah that she has a history of extreme reactions when it comes to babies, and perhaps she was pushed to another one when she learned that she would be losing Alfie and Elsie. But all this relies on Toyah knowing that Imran had lied to the court about Abby's drug use, and she swears that she didn't know that. So DS Blondie now reveals that she's retrieved a confessional voicemail message from Imran that was left on her mobile phone before the accident, and she plays it for Toyah, and then points out that Toyah deleted it after they had spoken after the accident.
Right, yeah.
And
That still doesn't necessarily prove that she knew before the accident, though.
Well, I wonder, and I'll try to look this up, but it's really difficult to get details on it. The metadata that your phone holds about voicemail messages, it can tell if it's been deleted, obviously.
Right.
But I wonder if it can tell when it was first listened to. Because she listened to it for the first time after the accident as well.
Right. Yeah, because it says you have one new message.
So, and now there was the conversation that happened in the car.
Right.
But if the police are trying to prove that she knew...
They still don't know about the conversation in the car.
Yeah, the voicemail is their proof. So I wonder if there was anything that they could... it's stored in your phone that would...
It seems to be that because she deleted it, they're assuming she deleted it out of guilt.
Yeah, and she doesn't help because she comes up with a really lame excuse that she didn't know that she had a message, so she must have deleted it by mistake. And Blondie arches an eyebrow at her and then arrests her on suspicion of murder one.
Yeah.
Toyah's reaction when
When
Blondie
they got
says
the
murder.
voicemail.
No, it's when she said murder, she just kind of, she almost convulses a little bit
Right.
at the idea that this is actually happening. That was very good.
I am because we've seen that flashback, right, in the car where Imran has very definitely told Toyah what has happened.
Oh, Toyah knows everything. Right.
Right.
And then Toyah
But
says,
does
I
she?
hate you.
Right, yeah.
And then we don't know what happens between the I hate you and then crashing into the wall.
Right. Yeah.
That if she thought that she saw a chipmunk or something, or
Right.
or maybe she was reaching for some Cornish fudge or something. You know, we will never
She
know.
was reaching for a Cornish hen.
Sure, I'm kind of lost now in this metaphor. but
Anyway. Yeah, because, there's a part of me that's like, well, she saw that flashback, but does she know that... Because the brain does funny things, right?
it's conceivable that she can't remember
Right.
the specifics of it. And the only thing that we hear her remembering is the
I hate you.
I hate you bits.
And it's like, did she remember it in that moment and now she's forgotten it again? Is that possible? Because the brain does funny things. Is she misremembering all of this? It's just the storyline is just really not very clear, and it's the fact that they're relying so heavily on this flashback to try to tell the audience sort of what really happened, but not telling us everything is kind of frustrating at this point, especially considering what happens next when the lawyer gives Toyah some advice that she very strongly rejects.
Yeah, let's
talk about that now.
So on Wednesday, Toyah is introduced to her new solicitor who has a tattoo on her arm, and that's all Toyah needs to know about her new solicitor. The solicitor wants to know how she's going to plead, and Toyah doesn't really want to speak to her and just wants to talk to Leanne right now. So Leanne gets a call and learns that Toyah has been arrested for murder. Leanne isn't impressed with the tattoo solicitor either and tells Nick that it looks unlikely that they'll have enough to charge her, though.
And I mean, it's not like she's got murder, kill
Yeah, she doesn't have a swastika tattooed on her arm. or
tattooed on
anything.
her knuckles or anything. You can't really see it. And it's very dark.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't look like a real tattoo at all because it's far too black.
Yeah, I suspect it's not a real tattoo.
No.
Much like Tyrone's tattoo was not a real tattoo.
But, you know, it's just, it looks like maybe something tribal or like a filigree or something. It's not like a flaming skull head or like a naked lady or something. It's in a really weird, awkward spot, too. It's like...
It's just
here.
below the cuff. It
Yeah.
goes just below the cuff line.
Right. Like, just far enough out where no matter how long your sleeves are, you're not going to cover the whole thing.
Right.
Which is weird.
Well, she says it was a mistake.
Right.
And it was in Thailand. Like, Thai people don't know how to tattoo you properly. I find that hard to believe.
Find that very hard to believe.
But this was like the first thing that happened on Wednesday's episode was Toyah going, "What's that?" And the solicitor, "Oh, it's my caseload. No, on your arm. Oh, look, it's my tattoo." And I thought, really? Toyah's got a problem with a tattoo?
Liberal, tree-hugging, vegan Toyah has a problem with people with tattoos and doesn't think people with tattoos can be lawyers.
Now, Toyah's position here is that this is a bad presentation for a jury and for a judge
One tattoo on the arm.
in 2022.
Right, yeah. She also...
And remember, the solicitor won't be the barrister, probably.
Right.
So we'll be nowhere near the court.
Right. She also seems to take offense at her youth and maybe even her gender a little, like later on when she's like, you know, can I get somebody a little older and more experienced or something? Or how long have you been doing this? And it's just like, this is the sort of thing you'd expect Ken to say.
Right.
Not Toyah.
Now, to be fair though, she has just been arrested for murder. So maybe that does make you say and think slightly differently to how you would normally.
Or maybe it's giving her something to focus on so she doesn't have to think about her guilt.
Right. But it was weird as fuck.
Yeah, and it continued to be weird every time she says the word tattoo.
I don't think Leanne's reaction to it was weird.
No.
Or it wasn't as weird.
It wasn't as weird.
Right.
And
So, Leanne bumps into Adam, who apparently iced his jaw after the punch of the century yesterday. They argue about the likelihood of Toyah murdering Imran, and Adam insists that he was doing his duty by reporting it and suggests that Leanne has her doubts too, and we cut to Leanne and kind of seems that he's right. At the police station, the tattooed solicitor is worried that the police are dragging their feet, and Toyah continues to be a bitch to her about the tattoo thing. In comes DS Blondie and says that Toyah isn't going to go home anytime soon and is formally charged with murder. "I really didn't see this coming," says the tattooed solicitor. Privately, the solicitor suggests that Toyah's best way towards freedom is to lie through her arse and tell everyone that she was suicidal, and she gets away with diminished responsibility.
but is that a lie? Is that a lie? Because that's what it really seems like happened there, doesn't it?
Well, she's insisting that it wasn't.
Right. But she slammed into that building, you know, which she had to have known was going to hurt her as well as Imran.
Well, maybe it just jumped in front of her at the last minute.
Right, yes, because that's what buildings do.
Yeah, it
And
has happened.
then at the funeral, she says it should be Imran standing here and not me. I should be the dead one.
Oh, that's a good point.
Thank you. It's nice when you say that. I appreciate you.
Well, I always say it when I mean it.
You know, and Toyah's reaction to this is kind of ridiculous too, because she seems to insinuate that because she's a counselor, which let's remember, right now she's not,
Oh,
that she can't possibly be suicidal, that counselors are never suicidal, that
No.
counselors never have mental illness
I don't
issues.
think that was her point. I think her point was, as a counsellor, it's even more galling to use this as an excuse when it wasn't true.
But it might be true.
Yeah, but she doesn't think it is.
Or she doesn't want to admit that it is.
She's also appalled at the suggestion that she's exploiting her infertility. That her baby fever is somehow to blame.
Right.
And the solicitor says, do you want to go to prison or not?
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm not sure that this is an airtight case for the cops, but what they've got against her is Adam's hearsay that Toyah said a commonly used phrase
Right.
that is meant as hyperbole or exaggeration. They have that, and they have
The video.
No one's disputing the fact that the car crashed into the
Right.
wall,
And-
and no one's disputing the fact that Toyah was driving.
And she didn't brake and she didn't try to avoid it. She
And that
just ran
isn't-
right into
and
it.
that hasn't been disputed. But the
The
only other
voicemail.
thing that they've got is a reasonably vague voicemail where Imran sounds like he has something to confess.
Right.
But
no proof other than the fact that she deleted it
right
after the fact.
right, and people delete messages all the time.
Right.
Do you delete messages from your recently that
Deceased
day
husband?
deceased husband? Maybe not.
Probably not.
But I think this is all circumstantial. And maybe Toyah doesn't even know if she did this deliberately or not.
Right. Yeah. Big. And also the conversations that she has with Imran in the car, where she's saying things like, this means I've lost Elsie and this means I'm losing Elsie. I have nothing else.
Right.
The way she was talking sounded like she had nothing to live for. At the funeral, she says, I should be the dead one. It really kind of feels like this is...
Yeah, they're dropping enough hints.
Right. So it's kind of weird that she's not even stopping to think about the possibility that maybe in that moment she was suicidal. Because as people have pointed out rightly, she can be very impulsive. You know, even in her activism, chaining herself to things.
Yeah, 20 years ago.
Well, no, not 20 years ago.
Oh, no, she did it with Nina. That's
With
right.
Nina and Evelyn.
That's right. I forgot about that. So outside, Leanne demands that DS Blondie lets Toyah go. She's a good person. So DS Blondie says, okay, well, just hold on a second. I need to find the keys.
And then gives her a look. I loved that. That was hilarious.
I thought that was cruel.
It was great. It was exactly what Leanne deserved. Because she does go around, and like the conversation that she has with Nick that we haven't talked about yet, the way she just talks like there's no possible way that Toyah is in the wrong here at all.
Well, we'll get to
And-
that. Because she says something that's kind of contradictory to that.
And, I will fight to the death anybody who says otherwise, and it's ridiculous that you're holding her, blah, 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 blah.
So Leanne meets with the tattoo solicitor in the middle of the waiting room in the police station, and they chat about Toyah's case. Basically, Toyah's fucked. The solicitor tells Leanne that all the evidence is kind of pointing that she's guilty here, and she tries to convince her sister to lie about being suicidal because the clock is ticking. So Leanne speaks to Toyah on the phone, and Toyah still won't go for it, which means that she needs to find a new solicitor. Can we try and find one with her nipples pierced this time, or something else that's easier to disguise?
Or like a nose ring.
Right. Something that comes out.
Right.
Leanne offers to see what she can do because Toyah can't afford it. The factory pays peanuts, and besides, she's never there. So Leanne goes and floats the idea with Nick, who isn't sure where they can get this money from. It'll be 30 or 40 grand, maybe even more. Nick points out that Imran is dead, and Leanne isn't so sure that Toyah is innocent. He suggests exactly what the solicitor suggested that maybe we can get her off with diminished responsibility. And Leanne wants to take the money out of the company, but Nick says the company doesn't have the money. They've taken all the dividends out, and we're
have
never
you noticed?
Right.
The way she says, can we take it out of the business? And Nick laughs at her and says no, and she's like, why not? It's like,
I'd do it for your sister.
And Nick says, please don't.
There is no money because there is no money, and even if there was, we'd have to convince Debbie to.
Right. Yeah.
To raise it.
It's just.
And then Nick says, if we had all the money in the world, I would give it to Toyah. You're right. We would back her because she's your sister.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if she's guilty or not.
Right.
This is what you have to do because it's your sister. So
Right.
it sounds to me at that point that it sounds to me at that point that it's a non-starter.
Right.
But the next we hear, Leanne's back on the phone to Toyah saying that she's got it. She's going to get a new solicitor. Her TripAdvisor score is 5 stars all the way, and she's not tattooed, and she doesn't even have a nipple ring. She's perfect. Toyah insists that she's innocent, but Leanne takes a breath too long to respond, and now Toyah doesn't think that she has Leanne on her side, and if her sister doesn't believe her, what hope does she have? And that's how we end Wednesday's episode, and for all intents and purposes, Coronation Street for us this week.
Yes.
So where is the money coming from then? They don't have the money.
Or is she lying to her?
Well, it seems that there's a meeting getting set up with a solicitor, or is it the first meeting's free? I don't know.
I don't know. She was really bitchy to that poor woman who was at least trying to help her figure out. I mean, it was kind of dodgy saying, all right, well, if we say this, then maybe you'll get time off.
I don't think solicitors are allowed to do that.
Yeah. It's
They're allowed. I don't think they're allowed to tell you to lie.
right. If she had said something like, well, do you think that perhaps you could have been suicidal in that moment? Because certainly if you drive head on into a building, you are trying to harm yourself.
Kind of looks like it.
Yeah. So it seems quite valid. The fact that Toyah just flat out refuses to even entertain the thought that she was trying to harm herself.
Yep.
It's kind of sus. You know? It's like, you couldn't possibly have thought, I'm going to run into this building and I will be perfectly fine.
Well, what are the options here? Because, like you said, the brake lights didn't come on and the car didn't swerve. So it was driven directly into that at speed.
Correct.
You need to have something wrong with that picture to be able to say that it was an accident.
Yeah.
So it was, and in the absence of that, and it wasn't accidental, then the natural conclusion is therefore that it was deliberate.
Right.
And if it was deliberate, then what was the purpose of it?
Right.
And she keeps on saying that she wasn't trying to kill Imran.
Right. But not once does she say, I wasn't trying to kill myself. She gets indignant about a supposed lie, but she never says, you know, she never flat out denies it either. I mean, she sort of does, but not.
Well, no, she gives lots of reasons why she can't use that line, given her personality. But
right.
I don't think she says. Well, no, you're right. I think she does say that she didn't kill him.
Right.
But, oh no, that really is.
That's really not saying I didn't try to kill myself. And she said a lot of things that makes it seem like she wishes she were dead instead of Imran. And, you know, as Leanne points out, Imran got out of that car. He got out of the car and then he saved Toyah's life. And that exertion on his heart killed him. So it wasn't even the car. Well, I mean, it was kind of the car crash because that's what weakened his heart and everything. It did damage to his organs to the point where he would go into cardiac arrest.
So would be nice to believe.
Allegedly. But she
had a little bit of concussion, so
right.
Her suicide attempt was pretty lacking.
Right.
And her airbag went off.
Her airbag went off. He didn't seem to have an airbag on his side.
Which is unusual.
It's very unusual.
And it was a new car.
Yeah. And it was a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should have had... Because if there's one thing the Germans are concerned about, it's safety.
They like a bit of safety.
They do like a bit of safety. They're quite regulatory about that sort of thing, the Germans. But it feels like with every step, we're not really learning anything new. I'm glad Imran got a funeral.
Oh, sure.
Sorry, Robert, but
No, the bit that we're still missing, and I don't know if we're ever going to get it, is what exactly happened in the seconds leading up to the
right.
the crash and the impact. What happened after I Hate You, Imran? And I don't know if we're going to get that. But until we get that, it's going to be impossible to know for sure. But it's certainly, at the moment, it looks very, very bad for Toyah because of the footage of the accident and because of the hearsay. Although, I really... There was a bit where the DS Blondie goes to her with it and says, you said this thing about you want to kill him, and she says it was figure of speech, and she says, well, Adam Barlow seems to think that you meant it. Well, so fucking what? So what if Adam Barlow thinks that you meant it? What exactly puts him inside her mind to be able to tell that?
It's hearsay, and it doesn't really count.
Not a jury in the land, I think, is going to convict
and then
her
they
of
have
this.
the voicemail. And again, that's...
It's non-specific.
Right.
And I do think the phone company would be able to tell when it was accessed. Anyway, that'll do it for us, I think, for this week. That was the week that was Coronation Street, up until Wednesday, obviously.
Yes, it was.
We're going to be missing Friday as you are hurtling down I-80 east to Connecticut.
Yes.
And
Paying far too much in gas. Crying all the way about it.
Yeah.
There was Benny and I went to get gas last night, and on the pump somebody had stuck a sticker shaped like Joe Biden with a voice bubble, with a speech bubble that said, "I did this" on it. And I ripped it off, and Benny was like really embarrassed
Oh, really?
that I did that. But
Not good
hello,
for you, because the
Gas-
president isn't responsible for gas
Right.
prices.
The pipeline wasn't even going to be ready for another 3 years.
Oh, that's
And
not this podcast.
Didn't even build.
Anyway.
And that's not this podcast.
What's your moment of the
Who's
week?
your moment of the week? My moment of the week is whatever happens on Friday. Nothing really seems to have stuck out to me. You know, I did like DS Blondie being sarcastic to Leanne. That was hilarious.
Yeah, we gave it to Leon last week.
Toyah's speech at the funeral. Kinda. We've given it to Toyah fairly recently as
recently,
well. Kirk liking the new kit.
No.
He likes the tie on. Is it Evelyn saying Ology?
No, I think it kind of is.
I'm grasping at straws here. Or Evelyn talking to Cathy about coming clean to Brian and how she needs to come clean.
No, I think it's the Ology.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, it's based on 2 episodes, and I think if we were doing Friday, I don't think it would be this, but I think out of everything,
Sure.
yeah, it was funny.
Yeah.
That's our
Moment of the week.
boring moment of the week. Kirk liking the new strip.
Just that whole storyline. The Wethy County getting...
Oh, it's Tyrone singing the song that they were singing.
Right, yeah.
It's a shirt, not a shoe, or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he was far too pleased with himself about that. That's
Yeah.
Boring moment
there we go.
of the week.
All right. It is now 170 degrees in this room, so I think we better wrap this one up. If you want to drop us a line or send us some air conditioning, we're the talk of the street at gmail.com, and we're at Corrie Podcast on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. You can shout me and Helen a coffee by heading to ko-fi.com, that's ko-fi.com/the talk of the street. Check out the clicky section of vogle.co.uk for links to our merch store and YouTube channel. And if you're so inclined, please leave a rating and a review on the iTunes or your podcast provider of choice. Thanks for making it to the end of another episode.
Thank you.
We'll be back in about 10 days-ish with more
Talk of the street.
Talk of the Street.
Bye.
Cheerio.